Hello everyone, thank you for joining today. We'll get started in just a few minutes. All right, I think we'll get started now. Hello, thank you all for joining us today for our quarterly funding opportunities webinar. We'll be discussing the Catalyst and Amplify Mass programs today. Just to briefly go over some housekeeping items, all attendees are in listen-only mode. We invite you to submit questions in the question box at any point throughout the presentation, and we'll have a question and answer period following the presentation. We will also be posting the slides and a recording of the presentation on the Catalyst and Amplify Mass web pages sometime early next week. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I'm Corey Grunwald. I'm a program administrator on some of our technology development programs at MassCEC. I'll give an introduction of MassCEC and an overview. And then Priya Yadav from Mass Ventures will present on Catalyst. Following that, we'll have Lesley Nash from MassCEC present on the Amplify Mass program. Then we'll have a question and answer period. So to go over what MassCEC is, our mission is to grow the state's clean energy industry while helping to meet the Commonwealth's clean energy, economic development, and climate goals. We do this primarily through three things. We invest in programs that increase renewable energy adoption by residents, businesses, and communities. We also connect employers, job seekers, students, communities, and investors to the clean energy industry. And then we also help to spur innovation through infrastructure, funding, and technology development support. Now I'll pass it briefly to Priya to talk more about Mass Ventures.
Great. Thank you, Corey. Good afternoon to everyone. I am happy to share with you a little bit about what we do at Mass Ventures. If you are not aware, Mass Ventures has been fueling innovation in Massachusetts for over 40 years. Our mission is to support the early stage innovation ecosystem in Massachusetts. And we do that by both filling capital gaps and providing strategic technical support so that we can transfer early stage research and innovations into viable technology businesses and jobs in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So we fulfill our mission in multiple ways. We invest in deep tech companies at the seed stage, and you can see at the bottom of the slide the areas that we call out as deep tech companies. We also provide START, which stands for SBIR Targeted Technology Grants for Massachusetts-based companies that have received SBIR or STTR Phase 2 federal funding. So we can convert their research into businesses and create jobs in Massachusetts. We administer grant and investment programs such as Catalyst for MassCEC and the Mass Life Sciences Seed Fund for the Mass Life Sciences Center. We also provide technical support for early stage entrepreneurs, in-kind contributions from service providers and free technology resources. And finally, we also advise portfolio companies and grantees at the board of directors level. You can find more information about us at our website. Thanks, Corey.
Thank you, Priya. And now to get more into MassCEC's technology development programs, you'll see in this graphic along the x-axis, we have the stages of technical development. And then along the y-axis, we have the funding ranges of each program. The technology development grants are in green and the investment programs are in blue. As you can see, the internship program runs along all stages of technical development and essentially helps subsidize or pay for student internships at clean energy startups. The Catalyst program, which we will be discussing in a little bit, funds $65,000 prototyping grant projects. Then a bit further in the technical demonstration scale, we have the Innovate Mass program, which funds demonstration projects between $100,000 and $250,000. And then we have the Amplify Mass program, which runs from research all the way up until commercialization, and essentially provides cost share funding to large prime research awards. And then we also have the seed investments and the equity investments programs. And now I'll pass it to Priya to go over our Catalyst program.
Great. Okay, as Corey just mentioned, Catalyst is the smallest and earliest stage program that MassCEC offers. If this seems too early for you as we go through the program, then please reach out to Lesley or Corey and they can help you decide which program among these makes most sense for you. So Catalyst, what is the Catalyst program? We provide grants, as Corey mentioned, of up to $65,000 per grantee, along with technical support from Mass Ventures to Massachusetts-based early-stage companies and research institutions. Students are welcome to apply with a principal investigator if they are working on clean tech energy innovation projects. We run this program twice a year, spring and fall. So if the timing is not good for you right now, please consider waiting until the spring to apply. Our current round for fall 2020 is open, and we are accepting proposals through October 19th. For the application, we ask that you provide the following items: an overview of the technology and why is it important. Clean energy impact. This has to be included for all applications. By clean energy impact, we mean that we need to have clarity on greenhouse gas avoidance from cost declines, efficiency improvements, etc. We will need insight on the commercialization potential and your proposed business model. Please provide details about what you plan to do with the grant funding. The project should be very carefully selected, and we will talk more about that in a bit. We expect a project budget summary, and finally, information on team members. All of these items are included in the template we have provided for the application, so please follow it carefully. Okay, so what are we looking for? A proposal with a high likelihood of success would have the following attributes. For technical merit, the technology should be promising, new, and disruptive. For example, we are not looking for new ways to use solar panels. Instead, we are looking for novel technologies that you are working on. The market is large and/or growing. You know your customer, you know what they want, and you can deliver it. For those with a smaller market, I would encourage applicants who are confident that they can address the needs of that market. For the project plan, the project selected should be achievable and the results should be meaningful towards the next step of your commercialization plan. You should have a knowledgeable team who knows how to commercialize your technology. The technology also needs to fit our program. We are looking for technologies with clean energy impacts that can be measurable through the reduction of fossil fuel use. In the RFP of this grant cycle, we are looking for proposals to have a particular emphasis on 4 primary focus areas. Building level energy usage. What we mean by that is impactful, resilient, and cost-effective electrification technologies and approaches to decarbonizing the building sector. Clean transportation. Show us cutting-edge clean transportation technologies that address the market barriers to electric vehicle deployment. Offshore wind. We are looking for you to project risk reduction, market confidence enhancement, and economic development that advances this new industry. And finally, integration of carbon-free generation on the electric grid. Present technologies that enable a transition to a modernized and smarter grid, such as microgrids and energy storage. The proposal you submit should also show a potential for follow-on funding. By this, we mean a likelihood of market entry for university projects and a likelihood of attracting private investment for startups. So what do we mean by a prototype? A prototype is a first model of something from which other forms are developed or replicated. It is not basic research. We are looking for an early stage design, development, and/or validation of your technology. You can test your concept to evaluate your design. You are creating something. It is beyond just an idea. It should be real, a working system or product. You can also generate data to show an invention works. What do we mean by clean energy impact? We use the definition provided by general laws in Massachusetts, namely advanced and applied technologies that significantly reduce or eliminate the use of energy from non-renewable sources. This includes energy efficiency, demand response, energy conservation, and those technologies powered in whole or in part by the sun, wind, water, biomass, etc. To qualify, your technology must show a clear path to reducing greenhouse gas emissions. For example, reducing cost or improving performance of carbon-free generation, energy efficiency, and process energy reduction, as well as grid modernization for easier integration of renewables. And examples without a clean energy impact would be projects that improve the economics of using fossil fuels, projects that have minimal impact on reducing greenhouse gases compared to what is being used now, water treatment technologies that have no substantial energy impact, and projects that reduce pollution and improve the environment but have no fossil fuel reduction. The projects in this last section will not have a chance of winning this grant. So here are some application tips. We have looked over past applications and pulled out feedback from our reviewers. So going forward, we can try and replicate some of the positive feedback we have heard and avoid the negative ones. So for technical merit, try and explain things in layman's terms in a clear and concise way. Explain the specific application of your technology. And if it is applied research, demonstrate you are solving a problem and that it is not basic research. Remember, you are not writing for an academic journal. If you do not show the end goal or that you are focused on solving a problem, the application will sound like it is general research and it will not be funded. Try not to overuse acronyms. And I cannot stress this last one enough. Please proofread the final copy. Accept all the edits, save it as a PDF. Every round we receive applicants where it is quite obvious that no one closely read the final copy. Remember, the proposal you submit is the only thing that represents you, so please make sure it is a clean, professional copy. The other thing I would mention here is please include a picture or a diagram which will be helpful to demonstrate what you are trying to accomplish. To receive a good score for your commercialization potential, know who your customers are and what they want. Know who your target market is and who your competitors are. Hopefully, your technology is protectable. So mention any IP you may have. Discuss your business model and how you will commercialize your technology. If you have any letters of support, include them in the appendix. You want to avoid being too vague when discussing your market. We will be looking for what you list as your target market, so if you leave it out, we will notice it. If you truly believe that you have no competition, then maintaining the status quo is your competition. A strong project plan is one that is meaningful and will contribute to commercialization. Something should happen once the project is completed, such as finding more funding, a potential partner, or customers. So you may want to work backwards. What are investors and customers asking for, and how can you give it to them? Your project should be what they are asking for. You want to avoid using general milestones without measurable items. Pick a plan that will work within the budget and time frame. Be realistic. You want to show that you have a good team. We are looking for business experience as well as technical experience. It is very rare that one person has all the knowledge needed for commercialization. So tell us who will be contributing and what is their background. If you are working alone, include any advisors or mentors you may have. Tell us the backgrounds and relative experience because we will not know that unless you tell us. If they have connections in the market that you're looking at, mention that too. So now let's run through a few frequently asked questions. In order to apply, you must be either a principal investigator at a Massachusetts research institution or a Massachusetts-based company with no more than 4 employees and with less than $1 million in funding, grants, or revenue. If you have a question about having enough of your company in the state, contact us and we can discuss it. You may also be a student applicant if you have a principal investigator who is willing to oversee your project. We will give up to 7 Clean Tech Awards, and each award will be up to $65,000. Again, follow the general laws of Massachusetts for clean energy. If you have any questions about it, if your specific technology is eligible, please contact us. And finally, the duration of the clean tech projects should be a maximum of 1 year. So now we wanted to show you some recent grantees for the program. So let me pause here and let you take in some of the type of projects that have won Catalyst grants. Okay, next slide, please. Finally, timeline and logistics. Please go to the Mass Ventures or MassCEC website for the application and template. In order to keep the program as fair as possible, we will be collecting all questions by Wednesday, September 30th, and post all the answers by Friday, October 2nd. You may want to check the MassCEC website again on that date. The due date for all applications is October 19th by midnight. From there, the applications will be reviewed by our committee and sent out to the external reviewers. Finalists will be notified by November 20th. We will be providing pitch coaching sessions during late November into December. The finalists will provide a pitch during the week of December 14th, and winners will be notified in January. As I close, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We are happy to clarify any part of the program. The clearer you are with what we want, the stronger your proposal will be. Thank you, and I'll now pass this off to Lesley, who will discuss Amplify Mass.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you, Corey. As Priya just said, my name is Lesley Nash. I am a program manager at the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center, and I oversee a variety of those technology development grant programs that Corey presented on earlier in the graphic. Specifically, I do assist with Catalyst, which Priya just mentioned, and I also manage our Amplify Math program, which I will present on now. And the third program that falls under this suite that will not be touched on today is our Innovate Math program. But if you think you're ready for a demonstration grant, please feel free to reach out to us and we can talk to you more about that program. We do have periodic webinars on that program as well. So if you're interested, just keep your eye out for the next one. So Amplify Math, just to kind of refresh everyone's memory from earlier, that was the really large green box that you saw in the background. This program spans technology readiness levels from all the way from research to pre-commercialization activities, kind of first deployments. It's a pretty wide-reaching program. Also in dollar value, it goes up to $300,000. The unique nature of this program, though, is that it is a cost share program, meaning MassCEC is the minority funder, and we help provide funding to support you receiving a larger grant. For example, from the Department of Energy or NSF or something along those lines. The program is open on a rolling basis as well. Here's some of that information sort of out there in text for you. Cost share or adder grants for prime award ranging up to $300K. We do accept applications on a rolling basis, meaning there is no due date for this program. We just continually accept them, and our review process follows that suit. Applicants must submit their application to us before they have contracted with their prime. So we usually recommend that folks submit their proposals to us at the same time as they submit their proposal to their prime award, just so that way we're sort of on the same review timeline. In order to be eligible for this program, you can be either a company that is a small business and is designated as a small business and is based in Massachusetts. or you could be a Massachusetts-based university or research institution, nonprofit. This program also has an application template, which is posted on MassCEC's website, and that application template includes the following information: the description of the technology. We want to hear about the context of your proposed technology and project. What is the current state of the art? How is this market currently? Then what's the challenge of that? What is the challenge that you feel you are solving? And then what is your solution? We also want to hear about the commercialization potential and business model. So even if this is, more on the research side, applied research side, we do still want to hear where this will go once it's commercialized. What are those next steps? What will be the business model? Or at least what do you think it will be at this point? Have you started thinking about that? One thing we include in this program in our applications that we don't necessarily have in the Catalyst one is something called a total addressable carbon analysis. We do ask for clean energy impact in the Catalyst application, but this one we use a different term, and we want you to try to do your best to quantify the avoidance of future carbon emissions. We have some resources on our website to help you do that as well. Then second to description of technology, we also want to hear about the specific project. So things like who is the project team, who's leading the project, who's supporting the project, who's collaborating. We also want to hear about the project plan. What are you going to do with the funding? What are you going to do with our funding? And what are you going to do under the Prime Award? We really want to hear about sort of the interaction of those two buckets. What are the outcomes that you hope to achieve, and what will be the next steps that you take from here? And we also have a budget summary. So we like to request that you sort of qualify what your budget will be, and then we also actually have a separate template that is specific to budget information. So for this program, there are two MassCEC provided templates. One is the application form, and two is the budget template, both of which can be found on our website. Additionally, we also request that you submit to us any information that you have related to your prime funding proposal. For example, if you've submitted your proposal already, please send us a copy of that. If you've received comments back on a proposal or a concept paper, please send us that. Anything that would sort of round out the picture of the project that you are completing. Here we'll get into a little bit more about what is a total addressable carbon analysis. So as Priya mentioned earlier, this program, as well as all of MassCEC's programs, have a clean energy impact requirement. That is the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center's mandate and our mission that we aim to fulfill through these programs. Under Amplify, we really want our grantees to do their best to quantify this. So we define this total addressable carbon analysis as an estimate of the greenhouse gas emissions that can be reduced, avoided, or remediated, assuming wide adoption of a technology or practice. What makes a strong TAC? So a clear connection between the proposed technology or project and the greenhouse gas emission reduction or avoidance. We really want to see that line drawn between what this project is and how it will reduce greenhouse gas emissions related to fossil fuel use. Next, we like to see a realistic understanding of the TAC at varying scales. So again, if you were to reach your beachhead market, how much carbon do you suppose that you'll reduce, avoid, or remediate? Or if you were to enter a larger market, your total addressable market, then how much? Just so we can get a sense of the scale. And lastly, we do want this type of quantification to be leveraged from credible public data sources. So we ask for sources in this section as well. And again, we do have some resources on our website that can help you answer some of these questions. So what are we looking for in this program? What would make a proposal have a high likelihood of success? Technical merit. The technology is proven yet new and disruptive, very similar to what we talked about in Catalyst. We want a potential impact to the energy sector. So again, as MassCEC, we are very focused on impacting the energy sector. the potential impacts to Massachusetts. So again, as a Massachusetts funded agency, we also want to hear about what are the local benefits as well. Does this address a Massachusetts energy challenge? Does this help support the Massachusetts clean tech economy? And there should be a demonstrated value of MassCEC support, that our funding is really filling a meaningful gap, that our funding is valued and needed to make this project successful. And lastly, of course, we would like to also learn about the team members. Are they knowledgeable? Do they have a clear understanding on the next steps that are needed for commercialization? Is the team balanced? Are there strong partners? Things like that. And then, of course, we also evaluate not just the strength of the application, but how it fits into the program. Is it a good programmatic fit for MassCEC? And again, enhancing those clean energy impacts. The industry and the applicant learn something important from the project. What is the potential for market entry? For companies, improve competitiveness in an existing market. For research or academic projects, is there a clear path to industrial relevance? And last is a strong leveraged funds factor. So since this program, Amplify Math specifically, is a cost share funding program, we, MassCEC, are the minority funder. So in order to strengthen your proposal and sort of hit this programmatic fit, we do like to see leveraged funds. So that means how much external funding is our funding leveraging? So the more you ask from MassCEC, the stronger that external funding dollar or higher that dollar should be, the strong leveraged funds factor. That's what that is. So here are some tips for making a strong project proposal under the Amplify Math program. There's a clear set of positive impacts to Massachusetts, demonstrated value of and need for our funding, strong clean energy impact, and like I was just saying, the higher the grant request, the more leveraged funds. For a research proposal, something that would make a strong project proposal would be a disruptive idea being pursued by a team with the appropriate expertise. That includes both maybe academic, technical experts, as well as potentially academic business experts or external advisors that might come from the industry. There should be a direct path from research to commercialization, a clear strategy to bring this to market. MassCEC funds will typically, in this case, be used for funding PhD students or capacity building. That's typically what we'll see under a research proposal. For a company proposal, a strong proposal would include logically developed business plan, including early stage price modeling, a clear identification of partners and customers, and typically MassCEC funds might be used for new hires or equipment purchases. On the flip side, a potentially unsuccessful proposal would include the following things here. MassCEC funds are not crucial to project success. That demonstrated value has not been met. The clean energy impact is small or has a very poor risk-reward ratio. There's high executional risk. There is a weak technical review, whether that be by the comments that you sent to us from your prime or from our own external judges. And lastly, that you are requesting a high grant amount, but providing a small leverage funds amount that's not proportional to meet the programmatic fit. For a research proposal, an unsuccessful proposal might include something that is basic research, limited industrial relevance, unclear differentiation with other products or competitors, and high overhead rates. MassCEC prefers to utilize grant funding on project work rather than overhead rates. The company proposal, on the other hand, may be unsuccessful if it has an unclear business model, a lack of understanding of the market and the competitive landscape, and a weak budget justification. And these are all examples of unsuccessful proposals. So to give a little insight into the review process for Amplify Math, it is a rolling program, so we are continuously sort of cycling through what you see up here. So first, when an applicant submits their proposal, our program team just does a quick threshold review to make sure that it meets our basic eligibility requirements. For example, that the lead applicant's based in Massachusetts, that this is a clean energy project. Then we'll send it for technical review with external technical judges. Does the project have technical merit? From application submission, and I should say actually from complete application submission to awarding is usually approximately 4 months. And I want to say that up front just so that way folks can plan accordingly if they're interested in applying to this program. So again, from complete application submission, meaning if you were missing your budget or you were missing piece of your application form, if we emailed you back and said you're missing these things, then that does not sort of start that countdown clock of our approximate 4 months. The approximate 4 months is really from complete submission to when you've been notified of your award or not. So after we do our quick threshold review, our quick technical review, then it is passed to a selection committee, which sort of aggregates and takes all of this information to determine some of the items you see here. Why does this project need MassCEC funding? What is the incremental value that MassCEC offers and that this project offers us? How much are you asking for? Our standards do increase as the grant ask goes up, as I mentioned earlier. That's strong leveraged funds right there. Each month, this selection committee meets and reviews a competitive set of at least three proposals that we've received at that point. So at any given time during this review cycle, once we have a cohort of a couple proposals, it goes to that committee, and that committee meets monthly. So it's always continuously going through the cycle. Once it gets past the committee, then the applicant is notified of their either award or rejection at the time. If awarded from this point, contracting can take up to a month. And the contracting, of course, is also equally dependent on, the grantee's speed as well. Our award is contingent on the applicant receiving the prime award. So since our funding is predicated on you receiving an external grant, then our award is contingent on that. So we may notify you by sending you a letter of commitment saying you've been awarded, but we don't usually really get heavily into contracting until you've been notified that you've also received your prime award. And lastly, we do sort of execute our contract, like I said, within a month, and that contract negotiation piece does include some sort of parallel term dates and deliverables to the prime. And then in addition, we also tend to add in low lift, nothing too heavy of a lift, a few sort of MassCEC specific reporting or deliverables. Things like we might ask you to present on your results to MassCEC and do a webinar like this with our staff so we can learn more about the results of your project. Or we may ask you to submit a summary project report that talks about commercialization activities, things like that, something that MassCEC might specifically request. And sort of getting to the wrap up here are some frequently asked questions that we tend to get, and these also sort of summarize what I was just going through as far as program specifics. So as a reminder, what defines a Massachusetts-based company? Again, you must be a Massachusetts-based company or research institution in order to apply to Amplify Mass. You may have partners that are not in Massachusetts, and that is fine. But one thing we do want to really understand is the lead applicant should be based in Massachusetts, and our funding should be supporting that Massachusetts entity. So what defines this Massachusetts-based company? You must have a majority of the following. So there are 4 things listed here. If you do not have manufacturing yet, then you must have 2 out of those bottom 3. If you do have manufacturing, then you must have 3 out of these 4. So that includes manufacturing operations, company headquarters, sales and marketing, and R&D operations. Those majority of those things must be based in Massachusetts to be considered a Massachusetts-based company. Again, this is also on our website, should you refer to it later. And what is the award amount? As a reminder, it ranges up to $300,000. And how long after submitting a complete application should you expect a decision? And as I mentioned earlier, it can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, usually around 4. Second set of quick questions, which I actually just mentioned, is Massachusetts-based small businesses or research institutions. And at what point is it recommended that you submit an application to Amplify? Ideally, you should submit your application to us concurrently or soon after the Prime Award application is submitted. And there is a requirement that if you are seeking cost share funding from us, that you do apply to us before you sign a contract with that Prime Funding Authority. Lastly, what qualifies as clean energy? The same definition from the general laws of Massachusetts that Priya had defined on her slide earlier and is further defined on our website. I will pause here to show you and let you review here some of the recently awarded projects under this program. So you can see the variety of not only technical areas, but also applicant types. Great. And the last thing we have one quick slide on is something that we're calling as technology trends. So something that Priya alluded to earlier are some of these funding focus areas that the Catalyst program and MassCEC generally tends to sort of emphasize in the funding efforts. So these technology areas, as defined earlier, are high performance buildings, clean transportation, offshore wind, and net zero grid. So MassCEC's technology development grant programs, as presented on today, and including the full suite, are clean tech agnostic. However, there is an emphasis placed on projects that fall within these categories. And the very last thing I wanted to present on really quickly is the Department of Energy released a funding announcement just the other day that I wanted to share with you all in case anyone on the line is not aware or has a technology that falls within this area. So the DOE Building Energy Frontiers and Innovation Technology 2020 FOA. Up to $80 million is available for projects that enhance energy demand flexibility across buildings and the electric power grid. Concept papers are due by 5 p.m. on Thursday, November 5th, and the website to the FOA is listed there. We will now take questions and provide answers. As a quick reminder, before I pass this back to Corey, we will be accepting written questions or verbal questions from now until tomorrow, and then at that point the question period will end, and we will post all of the responses to the questions on our website by the end of the week. Corey, please feel free to take it away.
Thank you, Lesley. Yeah, so a reminder to please, for this webinar, submit any questions you have in the question box, and we'll get to as many as we can. To kick it off, we have a question kind of asking to broaden our definition of, or elaborate on our definition of clean transportation. So how broad does the clean transportation segment reach? For example, is it only about electric vehicles, or can it be anything that reduces emissions in transportation?
So I'll leave this slide up here in hopes that this may help answer that question. The way in which we loosely define clean transportation is cutting edge, clean transportation technologies that address the market barriers to electric vehicle deployment. So a lot of folks may associate this strictly with cars, but again, electric vehicles could be, trucking, light duty vehicles, heavy duty vehicles, even the marine type vehicles. So anything that is currently a fossil fueled vehicle could potentially be eligible sort of in this clean transportation focus area, since the decarbonization pathway is equally difficult, whether it be light duty or heavy duty or medium duty vehicles or last mile or anything along those lines.
Great, thank you. So one question on eligibility. Can you apply for the Catalyst program after joining a Massachusetts incubator, or does the company have to be registered in Massachusetts?
Great question. So for many of our programs, this is what defines a Massachusetts-based company. So if you're at an incubator and that is the location of your headquarters, your sales, and your R&D, and you don't have manufacturing yet, or even if you do, if the majority of these things are based at that incubator or based in Massachusetts, then you would be eligible. Our programs, all the ones we presented on today, or even touched on, do not have a requirement that you're registered in Massachusetts, just that you're Massachusetts based on this definition. But I will caveat that by saying that our internship program, which we did not present on today, but is of course available to the startups in this community, the internship program does have a requirement that the company must be registered as a business in Massachusetts. That does not mean incorporated in Massachusetts. That just means that you've registered to do business in Massachusetts. And if you have questions about eligibility for the internship program, we can connect you with the person who helps administer that effort. But for our programs, the requirement is what's defined on this slide.
Thanks, Lesley. Another question on technology types. Have funds been allocated for ground source geothermal heat pumps used to heat and cool multi-unit housing?
Our programs, to my knowledge, have not funded any pre-commercial projects on that. I mean, MassCEC generally has supported geothermal heat pumps in the past for heating and cooling purposes. We used to have a grant program that provided rebates for the installation of those technologies. And I think the reason potentially that the programs we presented on today have not received proposals for that is just because those products are pretty commercially available at this point. If you had a particular innovation that would either increase the efficiency of or break down market barriers of that type of technology, then that could certainly be eligible. That would help decarbonize the building sector. For example, we have received proposals on innovative, new, cutting edge, novel, water source heat pumps or heat pump water heaters or things like that. So people are certainly innovating on things that are commercially available. So I would say that something like that for geothermal would be eligible, but not just a geothermal heat pump itself.
Great, thank you. What level of confidential information should applicants share with MassCEC?
That's a great question. So for both programs, Catalyst, which the receiver of the proposals is both MassCEC and Mass Ventures, as well as Amplify, which the receiver is just MassCEC, all of us, regardless, are quasi-public agencies. So we are subject to public records law in Massachusetts. And so all of our website materials and application materials do state that you should not submit confidential information to us. So our advice to applicants is to explain your technology in a way that, one, avoids revealing proprietary or confidential information, but two, also does a fair and accurate description that sort of tells us what you're doing. So, it shouldn't be super vague where we're not able to infer based on what you present what your technology is, but it also should not contain any proprietary details. And that goes for all of the programs presented on today.
Thank you. Can applicants submit applications for the same project to multiple MassCEC grant programs?
Great question. So we do have an FAQ about this somewhere on our website as well. This is a very common question. So you are welcome to submit multiple applications to MassCEC at the same time. However, MassCEC is highly unlikely, I would almost say will not, award you for multiple applications at the same time, whether they're the same project or a slightly different project. We just don't typically award more than one grant to a single entity at the same time. So it's up to you. If you want to submit on the exact same proposal to multiple programs, if you're eligible for all of those programs, sure, go ahead. But we will pick which one we think is the strongest and then the best programmatic fit. And you're welcome to communicate to us other information that might help that decision. And then as far as, which I know you didn't directly ask, but I figure we might as well tackle it, subsequent proposals. So if you were to come through Catalyst and get a grant and complete your project, can you still apply to other programs at MassCEC? And the answer to that is yes. Subsequent proposals are fine, as long as you've demonstrated success or at least a successful project, which may have had some technical snafus, because that's the point of these, understanding that's the point sometimes, but at least having been able to successfully complete your project in a way that was a good project from MassCEC's perspective. You're welcome to submit some subsequent grant applications.
Thank you. Can you explain the delineation between MassCEC and Mass Ventures?
Sure. And Priya, if you have anything to add after my explanation, please, of course, feel free to jump in. But so MassCEC and Mass Ventures together manage and administer the Catalyst program. Basically, Mass Ventures' role is to really serve, I think, more as the face of the program. Priya is more or less the person that you're going to interact with when you submit a proposal. She'll confirm receipt. She'll help with the contracting, all of that. She helps with the pitch days. So Mass Ventures, sort of acts as the day-to-day administrator, but MassCEC is providing the funding for the program and is involved in every step of the way, in the awarding decisions, in the pitch days, all of that. So it's sort of a team effort where we both sort of tackle different aspects of the program and work together to make the Catalyst program a success, sort of pooling our resources and our expertise. And that is the only program that we presented on today, or in general, that MassCEC really has a sort of direct relationship with Mass Ventures on in that formal way. The other programs at MassCEC are pretty much independently managed by MassCEC or have a different type of partner, which we didn't mention anything about today, so not relevant. But hopefully that helps answer the question. And Priya, if I missed anything or you want to expand, please feel free.
Yeah, I think that was good, Lesley.
Great.
Great, thank you. I'll leave a couple more minutes in case anyone else would like to submit a question. Yeah, so we have one more question on seed and equity investments. What would be the best way to find out more about those programs?
Great, yeah, so on our website would be a good place. I know we list here these programs' websites, the Catalyst / and the Amplify one, but if you just remove that and go to masscec.com and search for investments, either of those program names or just generally type in that word, you should be able to find the program pages for those. which will have some of this sort of high-level programmatic info that we went over with our programs, and then it will also have a contact on there for you to email.
Yeah, and I'll just add that if this was a broader question, then absolutely you can also visit the Mass Ventures website.
Great, thank you both. And then a clarifying question just to ask if UMass professors are eligible to apply to Catalyst or AmplifyMass programs.
Yes, they are.
Thanks. All right, if there are no further questions at this time, I think we'll wrap up. Thank you all for joining today. A reminder that please feel free to submit any questions for the Catalyst program by tomorrow, and for Amplify Mass, that program is rolling, so feel free to check out the program contacts and ask any questions at any time. We will be posting the slides and a recording of this webinar on our website. And yeah, I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you all.